competitive juice out here, given the long layoff. I know you guys are probably really eager to get some games
Yeah.
going.
Nah, we out here working, getting ready for what's coming next. Our practice is always a little competitive anyway, so this is it's staying in our heads and also knowing what's coming next. So yeah, we've been doing good.
One of the things, just as an outsider coming in, Gordon said, "This team, this Thunder team, does not die on screens," and that was something that really stood out to him about the group. Given how much pick and roll you guys are probably going to see, how much screening action you're going to see, how critical are those efforts by you all at the point of attack this series?
It's huge. I mean, they play a lot of ball screens, and the people that's guarding the ball just got to get through, and it's gonna happen where you get hit. But the main thing is just to trying to get through, and then that's just how we play. We play tough defense, and we gonna try to stay on the ball as much as we can.
Do you think defense is critical in this series against the Mavericks with Luka and Kyrie?
Yeah, I think defense is always critical, no matter who we play, and we big on defense winning games, and we've been doing a great job of that all season. So it don't matter who we going against, but it's going to be critical, of course.
We matched up with Luka, I think, one time this year. What are the challenges guarding someone at that height and that ability to create inside and out?
A great player, a good ability to create shots, makes a lot of tough shots. The ball's going to be in his hands a lot, so my main thing is to make everything tough.
He and Kyrie are different players, but I think the creation that they both are able to do, the way that they both factor into pick and roll, you sometimes see them as similar. But what are the differences in guarding those two guys?
Luka's taller. That would be the biggest one, the biggest difference for me. But they are their own individual players. They create shots their own way, and they both create out what they're doing. So. The main thing is just make everything tough for them.
Is this the kind of game for you? I mean, we've heard you after off season is talking about just all the work you put in, not only on the court, but off to get ready for this. Is this the type of series you feel like, okay, this is why I did the extra work, took the jiu-jitsu or whatever it is in the off season?
Yeah. It's not just for that, but it's for the whole season in general. I feel like it's just a good mental thing for me to knowing that I'm going to war every night against whoever I'm guarding. But no, it'll be a physical series. I mean, that's how we play. We're a physical team. So yeah.
Do you relish? I mean, talk about physicality in playoffs. You can almost tell it's like somebody like, oh God, physicality in playoffs. But are you like, yes, physicality in the playoffs?
That's basically my approach every game. I mean, it's been like that all season, not just the postseason. But it's just I'm happy to play physical basketball. It's nice.
Mark mentioned when guarding Luka, drawing fouls is something you got to think about. Is that something when you're on the floor you're constantly keeping in mind?
Yeah, I mean he's good at that, journeying fouls and stuff like that, and then whenever he gets to his spot, so I got to be aware of that. I don't want to put myself in foul trouble or anybody on the team as well. We all got to be aware of that he's good at drawing fouls.
I'm sure you're pretty used to it at this point in your career, but two of the best tough shot makers in the NBA. Is it keeping your head high even know that they're gonna make some tough shots over you?
Yeah, I mean at the end of it's basketball. The only thing I can do is make everything tough for them. If they make a tough shot, they just make a tough shot. It comes with the game. But if they make 30 tough shots, we just got to tip our hat off and feel like it's a good one. You know what I mean?
You guys are going back to playing in every other day type format in this series. Are you just kind of excited to going back to that rhythm?
Yeah, definitely. It's always nice to play some good basketball, especially playing in front of our crowd. It's going to be huge. It's always going to be a fun experience, and we ready for that.
Mark said that the coaches didn't start giving you guys stuff on the Mavs till today, really. But for you, has your prep started earlier when it comes to watching them, note-taking, all that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, knowing that we was going to play either one of those two teams, I was prepping on my matchup on both teams. But the fact that the Mav won, we will have to see them. And, I've been going against playing the Mav a couple times since I've been in the league, so it's going to be a fun experience.
What is prepping for a matchup for you? Like, do you go back and just watch all your possessions this year against, their guys?
Yeah, well, there's that, but also um, what they've been doing in some other tough defenders and other teams, and how they get going, what they like, what they don't like, and all that.
Is it tough to, maybe not get caught up in the offensive battle and stay locked in on defense? Like when they start scoring a bunch of points, really battling that you got to keep going with them offensively, or
Nah, I don't think it's hard. I mean, we base a lot of our stuff on defense. So, if, like I said, if they make tough shots, it's gonna happen. But we got to stick to our game plan, play our game.
Luka is considered having some of the highest basketball IQ in the entire league. What's it sort of like going against a guy like that who sort of like makes you think an extra mile while defending him?
Oh yeah, it's tough. It won't be easy. He's that type of player for a reason. My main thing is, like I've been saying, is just make everything tough. He's still gonna be Luke at the end of the day. So everything I can do to disturb and not just me, the whole team, we'll make everything tough.
We were talking about physicality a second ago, but you have to really be thinking as a defender out there. I mean, you can't obviously have any impact on what people think about the way you play defense, but how much people see you and think, okay, this physical guy. But what would you say about just the mental aspect of it for you that has to go into being a great defender?
Just really knowing the game, knowing players' tendencies, seeing the stuff that they like doing the most and what makes them great. Just really knowing who you're going against. I won't guard every player the same way. And I feel like that would be another step to being a good defender.
Do you feel like there's like a breakdown, like will, physicality, and like the intelligence part of it? Like, do you feel like it's a third, or do you have to have something more than the others to be a great defender?
I always think it varies. It really depends on the player, really. But everything is. I mean, it's all different. Sometimes it's be over physical. Sometimes it's knowing different stuff. Navigating the screens or whatever. It's always something different.
Do you feel like there's one thing that you couldn't do without when it comes to being a great defender?
Thing that I couldn't do without. I mean, the physicality is just the biggest one. I'll say.
These things you guys are going through for the first time as a team. You had a big layoff before the New Orleans series. You got another one here. What do you think you all did well leading up to game one of that series that you've been trying to do again here this week?
I feel like we handled the break well. I feel like we got off our feet, but we still put in a lot of good work to, keep our legs right for the game and, be prepared.
Now that you know that it's Dallas, I know you guys have been mostly focused on yourself so far, but what does it look like as you start to kind of wrap your heads around this next opponent?
Get into the game plan stuff. It's going to be a different game plan than we had, versus New Orleans. So, just getting everybody familiar with that and making sure we're all on the same page.
What about for you personally, as a guy who's from the Dallas area? Have you talked to your family at all about what this series means for you?
Not much. I'm coming in with a clear head, clear mindset. Just go in there and win no matter where we're at. So that's what I've been focused on.
What's the challenge of defending these guys? I mean, obviously everybody knows how good scorers Luka and Kyrie are, but they use that pick and roll so well. What in your mind is most important on the defensive end?
Bringing a lot of energy, being active, with our hands, not letting them be comfortable, bringing physicality into the game without fouling. So I feel like that'll be big for us.
What about perimeter defense in particular? I mean, because those two guys that are such great scorers initiate a lot of that pick and roll, how do you sort of balance handling both ends of that?
We have, great defenders on this team, so I feel like some of us will be able to not slow them down, but disrupt the game a little bit. Not let them be comfortable with what they've been doing all year.
What's unique about Kyrie as a coach?
He's been doing this for a long time, so he kind of knows the ins and outs to the game. But I got to treat him like everybody else. He's a main engine. Every team has a main engine, so they're all great players, and he's one of them.
How different is it though? You know, he is an engine on the team, but obviously Luka has the ball a ton, where he also does a lot of off stuff. Like, how does that make it more challenging?
Being able to close out to him and win that category when he's not on the ball. He can shoot the ball, he can drive, he can finish at the rim. He's just a great player, so he's going to take a lot of energy, compete at a high level.
How has your approach changed over this year in the league when it comes to preparing for defensive matchups like Luka, like Kyrie?
It hasn't changed. I mean, I come in every game trying to compete at the highest level I can. So as long as I do that, I feel like I'll be in a good position.
Do you think you see things any differently now that you've got a year under your belt in the league?
Yes. I mean, at first I didn't know how difficult or how hard it was to guard some of these guys, but I've guarded everybody this year, so now it's not much of a surprise. It's more like, all right, come out and compete.
How do you keep the playoff intensity going when you have such a layoff like this?
Get some good practices in. We've been going up and down a little bit, so it's not like we've just been cruising and laying around.
How much can you or can't you take from your matchups with them this season? I mean, there's been trades, guys were in and out of these matchups. Do you watch much tape of those games?
I mean, yeah and no. I mean, the main guys are still the main guys. So, that's a lot of the time who I'm guarding. So it doesn't change much.
You guys have such a reputation for a team that doesn't die on screens. In this matchup where those two main engines are going to run a lot of pick and roll, just how vital is that skill and ability to actually get over the top or underneath or however you got to get through those screens?
That's going to be huge for us. We got to keep those guys in the crowd. We can't let them do what they want. They want us to die on screens so they could find the matchup. That's why they're running the screen. So making it hard for them, no matter what position they put us in or we put them in.
What's impressed you most about Shea in these first 4 games of playoffs?
His focus. I mean, he's been having a lot of stuff going on off the court and a lot of expectations on the court, but he's still coming in every day and being a great teammate, keeping a smile on his face and, not letting the outside noise get to him.
Talk about the off-court stuff, but I mean, this is kind of his first series, kind of was his first series as like the superstar or the guy on the team. Did you see that affect him at all out there?
Not at all. He's been playing the same way all year, very consistent, like you said. Comes in, get his work done, and every game, every practice, he's coming with a lot of intensity.
Cason, a lot of times Mark will talk about with great players, you got to give them multiple looks. Is that like a conscious decision, like each possession that you're trying to sort of switch things up, or is it more instinctual?
I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Mark all the time talks about with great players, you got to give them way different looks. Whenever you're seeing them on a different possession-to-possession basis, are you trying to switch it up every time, or is it more like instinctual?
More instincts. If you go over every screen, they kind of, get a feel for that. So mixing in overs and unders, that's part of switching it up for them.
Mark, just now that you know that it's Dallas, I want to get your reaction on just the way that they've been playing. Obviously, an extremely high-caliber team right now.
Yeah, anybody that's advancing in the playoffs is a really good team. We obviously have a lot of respect for them. They've been playing exceptionally, not only during this stretch, but down the stretch of the season, especially on the defensive end of the floor. Post-trade deadline, I thought that really changed their team and shored them up. So obviously a tall task for us.
You guys have a reputation of having players and a team that just does not die on screens. Given the way that they'll play with Luka and Kyrie and screeners, just how pivotal are those types of efforts and the ability to navigate those screens going to be in the series?
Yeah, I mean, really every opponent, every team, it's critical because teams are trying to create their initial advantage at the point of attack, and different teams do it in different ways. They do it obviously with those two guys, and you got to be really stingy at the point of attack against every opponent. Like I said, it shows up in different ways, but it's as critical against them as anybody.
What did you learn about guarding Luka and Kyrie together in the games? There was only one game they both played this year, obviously, but did you learn anything from that game about how to handle that?
I mean, we have kind of, you can only learn from one game. So you have to go off with film, watching other teams guard them, watching how they attack different coverages, different teams. There's also, other teams in the NBA that have kind of a dual, two-headed monster type thing. That's how Dallas was when they had Brunson. So there's some prototypes there that we can learn from, but we're going to learn a lot, in the series, as you always do. You prepare as best you can for game one, but then the series unfolds from there.
You said that, not a lot of teams have two like them, but it happens, but not a lot of teams have a Lu Dort either. How do you activate him? I assume one or the other when they're out there, but how do you intend to sort of play him this series?
Yeah, we try to weaponize him against every team. It's obviously his value, but we've got other good point of attack guys. We've got other good, help guys at the rim. So we're going to need everybody. It's going to have to be a 5-man defense, as it always is against good teams.
How does them not having Kleba change your prep? And could you still see them maybe going small, or do you feel like they'll probably just stay big at this point?
Our guess would be for them to stay big, but we're ready for everything. It definitely changes their looks, in the front court, with the picking and popping at the 5. They can upsize with him at the 4, which they did a lot in the last series. It limits their ability to do some of those things, I think. But we're not counting anything out. But he was playing 22 minutes a game in that series. Anybody that's playing 22 minutes a game in a playoff series, is an important player. So we're not going to deny that he's an important loss for them.
You mentioned that this team changed after the deadline with Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington. Just in what way did they change the dynamic of this team, especially defensively?
Yeah, I think, the defense speaks for itself, especially lately. They held the Clippers to 100 points per game in that series. I thought they did a great job scheming, helping one another, slowing the Clippers' attacks down. I think, Gafford and Lively are really good at the rim, obviously, but they're also very switchable. They can really guard out on the floor in an impressive way. I thought that was on display in the last series. Washington gives them, obviously, a versatile wing defender that can play up a little bit. He'll guard bigs at times, especially against us. So, really good team, obviously. There's a reason why they're where they are right now.
Shea obviously has playoff experience before this year, but as the guy, what's impressed you about him so far?
I'm always impressed by all these guys, him especially, but nothing, I didn't learn anything new, and I don't say that disrespectfully. It's just he's set such a consistent tone, and he's performed well in so many different circumstances that really nothing's surprising me with him or many of the other guys at this point.
We saw him go into the bench and sort of twist a knee or ankle or something there. Has this rest been as beneficial for him on that, maybe as any of your guys?
Everybody. Any of these guys that are playing, long minutes in the play. Some of these guys, Lou last series was playing 40 minutes. The longer minute guys, they're all going to have bumps and bruises, especially this late in the season. So anytime you can get the rest, you take it. And, we're happy we got it. I think we've gotten quality practices in to try to maintain our conditioning, rhythm, sharpness. And now we got to crank it up here and get ready to play another game on Tuesday.
I'm sure you probably answered this at the last few practices, but everybody's cleared health-wise heading into the series.
Yep, good to go.
Mark, I know it's a team concept, but whoever gets placed on Luka during the game, what's the biggest challenge for that individual trying to defend him?
First of all, those guys, there's a reason they're as good as they are. They're just very complete offensive players. There's not a lot of holes in their games. So that's him and Irving. That's the first challenge. Him in particular is a player that you have to be very physical with because of how big he is, and he delivers a lot of contact. But then he's a great foul drawer, and so, being physical is an essential, and also not having him parade to the free throw line for, 12 free throws in a game is essential as well. And so the balance of those things is difficult. It's why he's so good. But those guys are just really complete players. They've got every play. They've got, they can go both ways. They see every coverage. They can pass. They're really, really good.
What's the, in your mind, what's the biggest challenge with pick and roll? You've got obviously the initiators and then you've got the finishers. Maybe it has to be both, but what do you feel like is the bigger issue with that?
It always starts with the guys with the ball, especially with this team. So, those guys are the biggest problem. They're, like I said, great offensive players that have a lot of solutions. There's not a coverage they haven't seen many times over the course of their careers, so they're well calibrated to anything you can throw at them. That's why it's such a challenging opponent.
Playing every other night, could that be a benefit for the younger Thunder?
I mean, we have no benefit or disadvantage relative to our opponent. You know, our opponent plays every other night too, so schedule comes out, we'll play the schedule. You know, we'll be ready to go in all the games.
Have you overthought it at all this week?
No, I don't think so. You know, we haven't given the team anything until today, you know, and that's the most important thing. I mean, it's our job to be over-prepared and to overthink it and to, you know, cross every T. But we don't want to dump that on the players and have them thinking instead of playing. And so it's always a delicate balance. I thought we struck a good balance with them in the New Orleans series. You know, we as a staff have to replicate that, but we also have to be ready for anything so that we have our pivot points. And if they pivot, you know, we're ready for anything they can throw at us.